Six Flags New England is about to open their most expensive coaster in over a decade. Not only that, but I think the park is finally going to fill the huge gap in the lineup by opening one of the best coasters in the world. You won't want to miss my predictions because I think the next coaster will shock us all. Six Flags New England just removed an inverted giant Coma boomerang, which gives them a solid plot of land they can use to add a new coaster. New England's most recent addition was the Joker in 2017, which is a 6-year gap for 2023, so they are well overdue for something new. From 2011 to 2017, the park opened 4 coasters in a 7-year period, first with the relocated Gotham City Gauntlet for the 2011 season. Try saying that 10 times fast. In 2012, they got an inverted giant Coma boomerang relocated from Six Flags Magic Mountain, which they recently demolished. In 2015, the park opened their RMC conversion, Wicked Cyclone, and in 2017, they got the standard 4D free spin clone Joker that went to practically every major Six Flags park. So the park got relocated coasters 2 years in a row for the 2011 and 2012 season, and then 2 brand new coasters for the 2015 and 2017 seasons. But it's been 5 years now, and no new coaster has come yet. That is why I believe the park will be opening a brand new major coaster in 2023 to replace an inverted giant Coma boomerang in the middle of the park. But I think this coaster will be a lot crazier than you expect. Not many coasters fit in Golf's plot of land, so I think it's very possible a standard boomerang right next to where the inverted giant Coma boomerang used to stand gets removed as well to make room for a major new attraction. The first coaster option that's obvious for this park is a launch coaster, specifically from S&S. This has been rumored for a while, and a Max 4 style coaster would do wonders for the park. The park doesn't have any launch coasters, and an S&S Air launch will be a great fit here. The only issue I see with the park getting something like Max Force is that it's a little bit on the expensive side, and Six Flags may not be interested in spending $15 million at this park. Even if Six Flags was gonna spend that much money on a new coaster for New England, there are some other options that may have a better return on investment. For example, the S&S Axis Coaster. This coaster can also feature a launch, but would be extremely unique, and is also a brand new model. This would be a great fit at New England, and it's definitely an option I would consider. Though there are other coasters people have been talking about for this park that are even more likely than the Axis Coaster. Six Flags may also want to test out the Axis Coaster at one of their other parks first before putting one in New England. That leads me to the B&M Dive Coaster. Six Flags just went back to working with B&M and for 2022 opened their first ever dive coaster in the chain. Dr. Diabolical seems like it's gonna be a huge hit, and I'm willing to bet Six Flags will open a few more B&M dive coasters in the future. The GP loved these rides almost as much as B&M Hypers, and with Six Flags able to open a mini dive for just around $15 million, it's definitely a good investment. Six Flags New England could definitely use a ride with a vertical drop, and I think there's a pretty high chance the park opens a dive as their next coaster. If they went this route, they'd probably have to remove their other boomerang, but that would be a good thing. Dive coasters aren't the most thrilling, but they have solid capacity and are a pretty safe investment for the park. I think Six Flags New England might go this route, but they really need a launch coaster. I wouldn't mind if they get a dive after they get a launch coaster, but they really need a launch coaster. That's what leads me to the B&M Wing. This coaster would be a great fit at New England and would be even better if they gave it a launch. It would be the only wing coaster in the area and would offer an extremely unique experience for the park. It's also from B&M, so you know it'll be reliable. Wing coasters aren't the most thrilling though, and I'm not sure they're in Six Flags' budget just yet, so I wouldn't bet on New England getting a wing next. There's just one more B&M that I have to bring up. The Surf Coaster. The Surf Model is a launch coaster, and with the first one set to open this year at SeaWorld Orlando, Six Flags has to at least consider this for New England's next coaster. The Surf Coaster may not be the most thrilling, but a brand new B&M model will always be a huge hit. And at least you know it'll be reliable. But why get a mediocre ride when you could get one of the best coasters in the world? That's where the Intamin Blitz comes in. The Intamin Blitz is literally the king of launch coasters, and it's guaranteed to offer an amazing experience. They could be expensive, but it's possible to get one for $15 to $20 million. Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens cost just $20 million, and it included some solid theming and is a pretty long ride too. The only problem with the Intamin Blitz is Intamin. Six Flags hasn't worked with them in over a decade. Yes, Six Flags recently started working with B&M again, and though it would be awesome if they went back to Intamin too, I think it'll be a little longer before that happens. So sadly, I think the Blitz Manual is off the table for now. Every coaster I mentioned so far are great fits for New England, but none of them seem like a perfect and likely option for New England's next coaster. That's where Coma comes in. They can build spectacular launch coasters similar to Intamin style and offer a much lower price bracket. Coma is also owned by Sansei, which is the same company that owns Six Flags' favorite friend S&S. With Coma starting to make its way into the US, I think it's the perfect time for Six Flags to jump in and give them a try. And what better way is there to do that than by giving New England a brand new launch coaster? Now this would be a perfect fit for the park. While I'd love to see New England open up Coma next, and I think there's a solid chance it happens, there's one more option Six Flags has. That option is RMC. Six Flags has already started giving some of their parks a second coaster from RMC. Fiesta Texas was first, and Magic Mountain is getting their second RMC this year. RMC's coasters are relatively cheap and offer a very thrilling experience, so it's kinda a no-brainer. Six Flags can very possibly open a newer version of the RMC Raptor smaller scale clone at New England. It doesn't take up a huge plot of land, and would be a great ride. Six Flags usually buys rides in bulk, and I wouldn't be shocked if they do that for their Raptors. If they go this route, I'd expect them to go the stunt pilot way with 10 passenger trains instead of the original 8 to help with capacity. Maybe they could even make it dueling. But this wouldn't be the perfect coaster for New England. RMC Raptors are great rides, but New England needs a launch coaster really badly, and RMC doesn't offer a launch on their Raptors. But what if that could change? What if Six Flags could get RMC to develop a launch Raptor clone for New England? We've seen Intamin offer a launch on their single rail model, the Hot Racer, so maybe RMC could do the same. This would be the perfect coaster for New England in my opinion, and I'd love to see a launched Raptor. Something about RMC and launch coasters just sounds amazing, and I think it would really do wonders for the park. But Six Flags New England's next coaster won't even be the craziest coaster Six Flags is working to open. Six Flags Great Adventure seems to be planning for a major new coaster soon, and I think it will be their best coaster in 2 decades. That's why you won't want to miss my predictions for Great Adventure's next coaster, because they may be just about to open their best coaster yet. A coaster that could rival a Toro for number 1 in the park and possibly even compete for the number 1 coaster in the world. Click here to see my predictions as well as why I think Great Adventure might soon be home to the world's best coaster.